to FResponse.com. Today we're going to talk about FResponse Consultant Edition, specifically FResponse version 8. We're going to start by firing up the FResponse License Manager. This is what's going to broker access to our license dongle and allow FResponse to start on remote machines. We've gone ahead and set the port and a username and password. Now, those are arbitrary values you designate to control access to FResponse. We're going to go ahead and set it to auto start and then start the actual license manager. Now, of course, this is going to make sure we do have a license dongle inserted. You can see by that icon that it's running and that it will collapse down to the system tray. Now let's go ahead and open up our management console. We're going to use to prep an executable to run on a remote machine. You may see some menu items today that you don't see in your standard Consultant Edition. That's fine. What we're going to talk about those in terms of Consultant Edition. We've got data sources, items, and activity. Data sources being places where we can go to get data, items, the individual items that make up that, and then of course the activity being what we're currently doing. We'll start by exporting a subject executable because that will be the option available to you as Consultant Edition. When you export a subject executable, it wants to know where that license manager is and then what platform you're exporting for. We're going to go ahead and drop out a Windows 64-bit graphical executable that we're going to run on a remote machine. Alright, so we're going to switch over to that remote machine. We're going to get that FResponse executable on there and fired up. Here we are on a Windows Server 2012 machine, and there's our exported executable. You can see the executable name itself has been decorated with the additional details necessary so that we don't have to type anything in when we start it. The FResponse subject software indicates that it's offline, gives us some additional information, and we can go ahead and press the start button. Starting will render the software operational. You'll see it shift to online, provided it can access that license manager. If there were errors, they would have appeared in the messages panel below. Now let's go back over to our examiner machine and take a look at FResponse. From an examiner perspective, we'll map some drives and make some images. Alright, now you can see we have an additional data source under Subjects. You can see we have a Windows machine. We can go ahead and right-click on that Windows machine and attach a subject target or actually create an image directly. We'll start by attaching a subject target. We're going to list of targets. You can see we have a new PMEM unsafe, which is physical memory without our additional controls guarding access to what we consider device allocated sections. And we'll go ahead and select disk 0 and attach that drive. Attaching the drive to our local machine is going to do just that. It's going to create a new activity. That activity shows us that we have a new physical drive 1, which is attached to our machine read-only and represents disk 0 of the remote machine. We could create an image directly off of that drive, or we can create an image via the network and talking to the FResponse subject directly. Using the direct imaging option, we'll get an automatic resumption in the event that the remote machine goes offline and then is restored. So in other words, if it dropped off the network and came back on, provided its network address had not changed, we would be able to resume and continue the collection. We'll go ahead and save this collection to a local directory. Keep in mind we cannot do imaging to remote network shares. You will need to have a locally attached drive, whether it's, of course, in this case, a root C or some other attached disk. We cannot image to a network share at this time. We'll go ahead and click Start Image here once we've filled out our details. Again, the activity panel populates with the image information as it's ongoing. That icon will update periodically as the image operation continues. Now down under Cloud, we have a number of different cloud options. In this case, we've got our Amazon account. We've gone ahead and set up an Amazon account. We'll go through an Amazon collection. Starting in FResponse version 8, we no longer attach cloud data. Instead, we actually perform the collection directly. You can collect either to a VHD or a local share. We're going to go ahead and just put things into a local folder, and we'll hit Collect. Again, just like before, all activity goes to the activity panel, which gives you information on the current pending cloud collection. Each one of these activity icons, if you double-click on them, will give you additional details, including any last messages or error messages accordingly. Here we can see some of the image details and updates, some last performance metrics, etc., percent complete. You're going to get the most information under the cloud option. The cloud option is going to show us the different things like regions and buckets, as well as number of files collected, total file performance, number of bytes, etc. Each one of these different detailed dialogues gives us additional information that we can work with. So here you see it automatically updated, giving us performance information, duration thus far, total number of bytes collected, and files copied. Each file downloaded actually has its dates and times reset according to the dates and times provided by the actual cloud provider. In addition, we have a number of settings that govern how cloud collection will be performed and what options will be enabled or disabled. All right, we can go ahead and detach our attached drive, and we can also remove our image. Removing the image doesn't actually delete the files, it merely removes any indication or any details about it here in our activity panel. As we indicated before, cloud settings gives you the options to set the number of retries, read and connect timeout, as well as pull down file revisions and verify file item hashes. Those last two options are both provider and F-response dependent. You'll find more details about where they're supported and what different dates and times are used in the different mission guides for each individual provider on the F-response website. So we can tell by our activity that we're cruising along. We can actually open up the destination folder and we can take a look at the collection as it's ongoing. You'll see we have both the CSV that indicates the number of files collected, any kind of parsing errors that we have, and in this case a directory, or it would have been a VHD, with the additional files collected. The collection has completed. Here we have a text file that indicates the same information you saw in the collection details dialog. We feel like F-response version 8 gives you a lot of different flexibility when it comes to collecting providers, as well as putting together a simple system for doing both drives, cloud, and direct imaging. When you're done with the software on a remote machine, you simply select it and stop and remove F-response from that machine. All right, hopefully you don't have any questions, but if you do, you feel free to reach out to us on the web at www.f-response.com. Thanks, and have a great day.